Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey there, welcome to another Lemon Amiga game guide and review. In this episode we'll be taking a look at Rainbow Islands, developed by Graft Gold and published by Ocean in 1990. This game first appeared in 1987 as the Taito original arcade machine and was converted by Andrew Braybrook, John Cumming, Stephen Turner and Jason Page. Pressing the space bar there we can enter a number of credits, and pressing fire we can then enter the game itself. In Rainbow Islands we play as Bubby or Bobby in 2-player mode, and in this game we carry on from where Bubble Bobble left off, and at the end of Bubble Bobble the dinosaurs were turned and transformed into these guys, and this is the second part of that story. In this second chapter we have to move along 7 islands which contain 4 stages in each. We have to move from the bottom of each stage to the top and destroy all the enemies in between. They will leave bonuses behind and extra pickups and even weapon enhancements as well. And by picking up that red flask that gives us a double rainbow. We can also find crystal gems in some of those enemies, and you can see I've just picked up a yellow one there. And when we get to the top of each stage we'll be given a chest and a number of bonuses will be handed out. The crystals you can see accumulating on the bottom will actually accumulate into 7 gems, and once we collect all those 7 that will actually give us a big crystal at the end, and if we don't collect all those 7 gems on any given level then, well, we'll get a large fruit at the end. But the aim is to collect all 7 gems on each of these islands, and that will reveal a huge crystal, and having collected all 7 from all 7 islands, that will reveal the ending of the game. To make that job a little easier, we can pick up rainbow extensions, and you can see there we can pick up to 3 rainbow extensions there by picking up those red bottles and picking up the yellow bottles. The yellow flasks there will actually give us turbo firepower, and that will make those run a little quicker, as you can see. And the rainbows can be used to collect items, including these bonus items, and we can even fire rainbows onto the scenery, and they will sometimes reveal bonus items in the background. We can also use those to kill enemies, and by jumping on those rainbows they will collapse onto the enemies' heads. Taking a look at the comparison zone there, you can see the original arcade machine had a square screen, and unfortunately the Amiga version is slightly stretched and slightly letterboxed, just like the Commodore 64 version there, which has pretty garish colours. And it has to be said the ZX Spectrum version at the bottom is a very good conversion, and the sprite size of the main character is actually correct on the ZX Spectrum, but that might be slightly too large on the Amiga. Turning to the Amiga, some of these enemies definitely require tactics and skill to get rid of those, and some of those will home in on the player, but you can see collecting another one of those yellow flasks doesn't really speed us up much. I think you can collect maybe 1 or 2 of those, and another rainbow extension won't help us either. The aim is obviously to get to the top of the level, and if you fall all the way down, well, you won't land into a pit of spikes, but you will land into water. Yes, just like the Killing Game Show that we reviewed just a few weeks ago, this game does give us water if we don't hurry to the top of that level. And if we touch that, then we'll die. You can see at the bottom of the screen there, we've managed to collect 5 out of the 7 gems. All we need is a red one and a purple, and we have the full set. And we have this 4th level in which to do it. You may notice stars are hanging around that landscape, and if we touch those, they will spread star power and hopefully kill enemies on contact. So just like the arcade machine, most of those goodies are in there, and comparing this to the arcade machine, it isn't quite arcade perfect, but they have done a very, very, very good job. We can use those rainbows just like the arcade to walk across those just like a bridge, and that helps us get to all those places. And if we walk across that and jump on those, then they will collapse just like the arcade. And picking up that power up means I've got star jump, which helps on the level, but not against the end of level boss. The first level boss is a spider, and all we have to do is to fire into that thing, and eventually it will die. At this point, if we had all 7 crystals, then the big one would be ours, but unfortunately not. So let's continue anyway, and jumping off the top of the screen there is something that the Amiga user likes to do on this particular game, and I certainly like to do that. Let's move on to the second island, and beginning on the second island, then it gets slightly tougher and tactics must be used. You can see the crystals at the bottom have been deleted, and so we'll have to build those up all over again. And you can see the enemies can blow away our rainbows there, but we can actually explore this level very quickly simply by materializing a rainbow and jumping straight onto that, and then we can rush straight up the level. This run and jump technique has to be mastered in this game, and as we shall see later on, that technique will get us out of trouble a lot of times, and so many times we will have to run and get out of there. And the hurry time there, unfortunately we do not have a visible clock on the screen, but given maybe a minute that will appear, and we'll have to get out of there and again reach the goal as soon as we can. It does give us maybe 20 seconds to reach the goal even after the timer has ticked to the bottom, but when that thing is counting down and the music begins to go, then it's probably best just to leave as fast as possible. Now we appear on the third section of the second world, and yet again we are struggling to get those crystals. If we collect the ones that we've already got, that will not give us anything except for some bonus score, and sometimes this game doesn't give us all the crystals, and so sometimes those fall off the bottom of the screen as well, so we have to traverse the level and pick those up. But falling down the level is pretty annoying, and that really does get annoying later on, and so you have to be brave, and choosing which of those crystals to collect before they instantly disappear within about 5 seconds isn't easy sometimes. And that really pathetic sound effect gives away we've just lost our first life. We are given 3 lives at the beginning of the game, and I think you can collect extra ones at certain checkpoints, but when we die we also lose our extended rainbow and our turbo rainbow as well, and so we'll find life extremely difficult. Just like other games that we've seen already, when the player dies they lose their upgrades, then they will find life very much difficult. And just like Hybris, if you have the best weapons then you can get far very quickly. So masters will be rewarded and amateurs will yet again be penalised from the fact that they don't have the weaponry to progress. So let's get out of there and let's not bother. Here we are on level 7, and this is another quite easy level, although you'll notice that the difficulty curve does rise from here on in, and the next island is very difficult indeed. So you can see without the firepower, it's hard. Just like the arcade, we can even continue there. If we can collect 5 continues from the title screen and continue from the last level. And let's see if we can make any further progress on this game. Rainbow Islands was converted from the 1987 Taito original by Andrew Braybrook, and many people will realise that Andrew is famous for Paradroid on the C64, and he also created Paradroid 90 before creating this for Graphed Gold in 1990. He then moved on to Realms in 1991, Fire and Ice in 1992, Uridium 2 on the Amiga in 1993, and then it returned with Viral Cop and the AGA version in 1995. The graphics were drawn by John Cumming, who also created the graphics for Paradroid 90, those amazing graphics for Paradroid 90, and he also worked on Ivan Stewart's Off-Road Racing that were reviewed a very long time ago. This cutesy music was programmed by Steve Turner, who also worked on Ivan Stewart's Super Off-Road Racer, and he also worked with Andrew Braybrook on Realms in 1991, and the sound effects were created by Jason Page, who created lots of classic themes, both on the Amiga and on the Commodore 64. And luckily we are very much still in the business now. This is round 8, and so climbing this level before we get to that end of level boss, and we've used 2 continues already. You can see the enemies do crowd us out, and that running jumping technique is definitely one to be mastered, otherwise the player will get nowhere. Yes, there are no ladders in this game to climb. This certainly isn't Rodland or Pang. What it is a very accurate but also a very difficult arcade conversion, and the novice will be struggling at this point with this game, and the expert will have to master it if they want to get anywhere. Yes, just like New Zealand Story that we reviewed, this game does require mastery, and it doesn't help with the number of lives going on either. Let's use another continue, and let's try again to get to that second level boss. Don't forget there are 7 islands in this game, and this is barely the second one, so let's at least get to the second level boss if we can. And I'm still looking for a purple crystal there it goes, not quick enough to get that, and still looking for a red crystal as well. It doesn't look like I'm going to make it, but surviving there by the skin of my teeth. And McDonald's fries there, a bit of product placement, McDonald's in games. Sometimes you get product placement in these 90s games, it doesn't tend to happen much these days. But here we are, this is the second level boss, and as you can imagine, all you have to do is to get some height on that thing, jump on those rainbows, and they will collapse on top of the helicopter, and that's yet another easy death. These end of level bosses will get harder from here on in, so let's make the most of these easy bosses and take our time and get rid of it. And at 100,000 points we gain an extra life. Let's move on to island number 3, and island number 3 is tougher again, and I think maybe islands 3, 4 and 5 are perhaps one of the toughest in the game, and I think I've got to islands 6 and 7, which are pretty easy, or at least easier, but you can see there, this is a kind of Dracula level in Romania, and here we have to avoid vampires, bats and things on springs there. So gremlin games remembered there in this game, but let's pick up those extras, and you can see those guys like homing missiles. They will track us across the level, and so you have to be quick. If you can pick up the running shoes. The running shoes will help us traverse the level twice as quickly, but they can also make us run into danger. You can see the red shoes there. Let's collect those. Or as I say, perhaps not. This game is very difficult, and if you're any good at this in the arcade, then you might stand a chance, but I'm pretty useless at this, as you can tell, and I'm making a huge meal of it. So let's persevere. We're getting to the end of this review now, and so I will say I do like this game, and I really did want to like this game. It's just that it's a bit too hard for me. It does require practice and dedication, and the graphics are great, the music is great, and so is the sound as well. The game really does play fairly. It's just that sometimes when we don't have those upgrades, we find life more difficult, and that spoils the overall gaming experience, because we now can't run and jump and perform all the maneuvers that we really need to do to get off this level. But in general, it's a very well crafted game, even though I'm no good at it. I like the fact that the basic elements of the arcade machine are all in there, and when the hurry up happens, and and scrolls across the screen, then the player really does have to move along, just like the New Zealand story, otherwise they'll get caught out. Let's use up another continue, and there our score will be reset, of course, but we can continue on, and it's infuriating to be stuck on one of these levels, and so let's use our rainbows like a ladder and simply walk out of that trap. But you can see the enemies determined to get us there, so you have to be very, very quick to get all those, and luckily we survived it. And surviving in this game really is great, and it will make the player sweat, so having survived, it's a great feeling to get to the goal after all that, but we had to sacrifice all our lives and score to get there. So perhaps this game is a little too hard, or should I say too close to the arcade machine, which was hard for obvious reasons. Yes, arcade machines are meant to be hard, and then you put your money in there more often. So let's collect those items, and a helpful arrow there points upwards. Yes, the player does know that the level goes upwards by now, and you can see people materializing there, wizards and now fireballs. Let's try to get that turbo firepower before it disappears, and no, we fail again, back down to the bottom of the level. But it isn't as infuriating as Bubble Bobble, and the scrolling aspect is smooth, but unfortunately yet again, for my money, it's too easy to die and make easy mistakes. Maybe again that was close to the arcade, but perhaps that just puts off the casual player. But this game got rave reviews by the magazines, and certainly some magazines thought this was the greatest Amiga game of all time. Amiga User International gave this 70%, Amiga Computing gave this game 80%, Zero gave it 87%, Steel Amiga initially gave it 88%, Amiga Format gave it 95%, Amiga Power gave it 96% and raved about it, and Amiga Action actually gave this 97%, and actually CU Amiga gave the budget release 97%, claiming this is the most addictive gameplay you'll ever witness. Well, I'm not quite sure if this is the most addictive gameplay I've ever witnessed, but with the average rating score there of 9 out of 10 by those magazines, they praise the arcade quality graphics and the gameplay, and it's easy to see why. And Amiga User International there claiming that it wasn't as good and it didn't quite live up to the hype. So let's continue and let's see if we can get any further with this game. I'm very sorry that I'm not good at this, but I hope I've given you enough of a play guide to show you at least how to play it. And that's the aim of these play guides. But this game is for professional platform gamers, and if you fall into that bracket, then I'm sure you'll find it fun. So let's see if we can continue again to pick up that red shoe. Let's see if that helps. Well, no, yet again it doesn't. And single rainbows there, the bane of me. And yet again, I think the levels after this are slightly easier, but this level is very tough, and sometimes a route can be taken to the top of these levels, but you can see there above me an alien just waiting to gun me away, and I'm trapped in a corner there. Taking a look at the next level, the final level on the third island, you can see it doesn't become any easier, and it's great to see those flowers and large fruits and very large sprites on the screen. The scrolling is superb, as it would be, super smooth, and this is one of the finest arcade conversions by Ocean, and I think Liquid Kids and Snow Bros are the only ones that top this. So I have respect for this, even though, as I say, I can't play it. So thank you once again for reviewing another play guide and review by lemonamiga.com. Hope to see you again in another play guide and review sometime soon. Thank you.